Hello vinyl community, my name is Richard. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Well, it's been a while since I made a video, and I'm finding myself here with a very quiet house for some moments, and I'll have to be at work, so I really thought I need to join in on this experimental music video tag. I really been enjoying seeing so many videos, and my want list is growing exponentially here, I think. Try and do this somewhat quickly, always a challenge for me, so take 1.5 million. Here we start. I will start with the first question and show a record with improvisational music. Here I have picked an album by the band The Smudges. The album is called Song and Call on the Cryptogramophone label, released early this year. And I will have to dip into my CDs here because I don't have, I'm still building a vinyl collection certainly, and some of these music too are also only released on CDs, so but sticking to physical format at least. Song and Call by The Smudges, a great album, I think. It's a mix of some classical influences, electronic, perhaps a little fusion inspiration, and one of the artists, Jeff Gaudier, one of the musicians, he has other albums that he's released or been part of that's in the fusion genre. That's probably how I ended up finding The Smudges. Maybe on occasion a hint of old American folk type stuff, but not really in a prevalent way. Some of this has some really nice, moody violin and cello, but then again you get into more electronic scenes as well. I think there's some sampled birdsong in here, which kind of addresses a later question to come as well. And I think some Tibetan singing bowls in here as well. So a lot of different components. Highly recommend checking out The Smudges. Then going to show a record featuring a Moog synthesizer. And I will show two artists here. First, just kind of maybe more in remembrance, if you will. Klaus Schulze passed away this week, and very prolific Moog synthesizer composer and artist. So I thought I'd just show one of his albums, Time Wind. I still need to dive a lot more into Klaus Schulze myself. I do have a couple of vinyl records laying around, but they need probably a little bit of cleanup. They're not the nicest used ones. So maybe for a later video. Highly recommend checking him out if you are not familiar or want to explore the Moog scene. The artist that I had thought about now for several days before I made this video to show here was American Lisabelladonna. This is her latest physical release, at least, I believe, called Appalachian Wilderness. Lovely cover, I think. On red vinyl, 2 tracks, so 2 lengthy, nice Moog sounding tracks. On the Behind the Sky label, I also got a CD of hers, Momentum, I believe, recorded at a festival of some sort. Also on Behind the Sky label, but also carries the Bob Moog Foundation label, Lisabelladonna. You can find her on Bandcamp or on the Behind the Sky label on Bandcamp. And I think I can thank Michael Dawson for the reference to Lisabelladonna. The next is show a record with field recorded sound. This is Biosphere, or in real life, Geir Jensen, a Norwegian electronics, ambient, probably a few labels you could throw on there. This is the album Substrata. It has been released in at least 2 different editions. The original release was in 1997, I believe, and then there was a re-release with quite a bit of additional material in 2011. And this is based on the 2011 edition, double disc. It's tough to find a whole lot of details on this, but I believe in here you have some recordings of water streams and kind of water environment. Also, for those that have been around for a while, in here there's, I think, very proper, not overused samples from a few different TV series or movies. One of them I knew I had heard before and really struggled, but I figured out it was from the old Twin Peaks TV series, I think, late 80s, early 90s. And at least with a few snippets of that shot in the beautiful Snoqualmie Falls area of Washington, where I lived not too far away from there for a brief period in my life. So Biosphere, Substrata. He also has a album that was released, I think, was early this year, Shortwaves, which I think is more of a Kraftwerk inspired album, if you will, or more in that style. This is, I don't think quite that, but lovely ambient electronic music. And an artist I will be diving a lot more into. Then next is show a record with drone sound. Well, unfortunately, I'm failing on this one. I probably do listen to music that would qualify in this category, but it would be on digital only, just based on the setting where I'm at when I listen to that kind of music. So I'll skip showing something or on that. Show a record with spoken word. Well, here I will, maybe I'm cheating a little bit here too, because he doesn't use spoken word a whole lot, but kind of want an excuse to also show this artist or composer. This is the Nordheim tapes. This is by a Norwegian composer, Arne Nordheim. Electronic music recorded in the 60s. Arne Nordheim was a classical composer, as well as, I think, a kind of a bit of a pioneer in electronic music in the 60s, certainly along with others. But there is one track on this album called Mandagsbil, or the Monday car. And the inference here in Norwegian would be that it's a car kind of put together on a Monday morning, when maybe everybody didn't quite want to be at work and wasn't quite at the peak production time yet. So someone must be having a bad dream about having gotten a Monday car, and there's a spoken word segment in there with some electronics in the background. If you are curious about Arne Nordheim and like to explore on vinyl, he does have a couple of other electronic albums as well. This is Electric, this is Dodeca. These are both re-releases on the Norwegian label Rune Gramophone, and they're, at least when they were re-released, were also available on vinyl. I think, at least in the US, it gets to be a pretty penny to get a hold of the vinyl, if you even can. So I have stuck to the CDs, and that used ones. It's even tough just to get a decent priced used CD as well. But if you run across them, I highly recommend checking them out. Nordheim, of course, too, also had an experimental music connection that many of you will know. In '73, he attended a Zappa concert in Copenhagen. They met after that, and Zappa was aware of his electronic music, and they developed a lifelong friendship, including Zappa visiting him in Oslo at the official artist residence that Nordheim was honored to have by the Norwegian government at the time. Called Grotten, or the Grotto, if you will. Nothing to do with the California edition of the Grotto, if you will, but kind of a famous arrangement for very few select artists in Norway to get the honor of getting to live there in a house close to the royal castle in Oslo. Next, show a record with processed voice or instrument. Well, I know this has been shown in the VC recently. Somehow I kind of struggle with this. I'm sure I had a lot I could show, but I also listened to this quite a bit. So this is a Japanese artist, Phew. It's Phew, and the album is voice hardcore. So only her voice in different kind of processed ways. This is something that Michael Dawson also steered me towards. Really been enjoying this, and also have a bit more Phew coming. So I highly recommend this. This maybe also could count a little bit as a spoken word album. Maybe not for everyone. I know sometimes I get some like one-liner critiques from my family for whatever I end up putting on the record player, and this one maybe wasn't the most popular album, but I really been enjoying it. And again, you can find a few on Bandcamp. The next question: show a record from an artist on the Nurse with Wound list. Well, I think I've heard the term before, but I wasn't very familiar, so I had to go do some research. And there's a lot of things I can show that's on the Nurse with Wound list. Certainly don't have it all, but some chunk. But I could not resist then showing something from one of my favorite guitar players, composers out there, Terje Rypdal. This is the album After the Rain on the ECM label. I believe this album is from 1976. I think Rypdal has a really nice, really nice guitar tone. Can be jazzy, fusiony, but loved by many also that are in the prog scene and jazz scene. I think Rypdal also is probably the most prolific artist in my collection. I have a separate Rypdal section in my. I should replace this one, but I think this is essentially my Rypdal CDs. Here, so I think I probably have 20 some albums with Rypdal in my collection. He also plays with a lot of other well-known artists, probably more in the modern, more modern jazz scene. Second, or the very last question then, record featuring toy instrument. I struggled with this. I'm sure I probably have something like a kazoo on some albums, maybe something on a Zappa album, but I'm going to maybe stretch it a little bit here and go to another more maybe classical composer that also had been inspiration for Zappa on the experimental stage. This is Edgar Varese, or Varese. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name. I believe he was French that later moved to New York. And the one particular track I'm thinking on from this album called Orchestral Works #2 is his piece Ionization from it was recorded or composed between 1929 and 1931, so quite some time ago. This particular edition is on the Naxos label by the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra. And the song I'm thinking of in here is You Will on occasion hears kind of some siren, which I think of the old kind of crank style. So sirens maybe also could come from something like, I remember one year I got a battery operated police car as maybe I was 5 years old or something. Made a tremendous ruckus with its kind of more crank style siren. I'm not sure if my great grandparents bought it to more play with my parents or what happened, but I think I remember that police car ran out of batteries awfully quick. Anyway, so that's kind of what I can think of for a toy instrument. Bit of a stretch. It may have been an actual crank siren used in the piece here, but certainly on the experimental side. And I remember reading a story too how Zappa actually, as I think a teenager, tried to call Varese in New York to get to talk to him. I think he got some birthday money to spend on a long distance call. He only managed to talk to his wife and never did connect with Varese, but at least he got a conversation with his wife. I believe maybe he got a letter or something later. But so that is my response. I hope there's something in here that caught your interest and perhaps you want to explore further. Take care, everybody. See you next time.